and welcome to the EA Files, Electronic Arts, most notably rated one of the worst companies in the world. We're going to be diving into EA today on why this gaming company has created such a negative image for themselves, and looking into some of the controversies that has gotten EA to have this reputation of being one of the worst companies in the world. But before we do that, special thanks to our incredible sponsor of the channel today. You've heard of them before. That's right, Raycon. These are their brand new everyday E25 earbuds, and this is their best model yet. It has a total of 6 hours of playtime, incredible Bluetooth pairing, fantastic bass, and this compact design gives you a noise isolating fit. One of the best part about Raycon earbuds is the fact that these earbuds are a fraction of the price of premium earbuds that you would get on today's market. They're super high quality and they're affordable, and you're not gonna break the bank getting these things. Click that link down below in the description, buyraycon.com/Repzion, and you'll get an additional 15% off your order for these earbuds, and you'll be saving even more money. Do you remember EA's entitlement clause? Because I certainly do. EA was under a lot of controversy on their game client known as Origin. Origin is their gaming service similar to Steam, Battle.net, in which you buy games on a library and then you own that game digitally. Well, you see, on Origin originally there was a 2-year entitlement clause, which stirred a lot of controversy, and rightfully so when we take a deep dive into what exactly this entitlement clause is. We do not guarantee that any of the content or entitlement will be available at all times or any given time, or that we will continue to offer particular content or entitlements for any particular length of time. We reserve the right to change and update content and entitlement without notice to you. If you have not used your entitlements or account for 24 months or more, and your account has been associated with entitlements, your entitlements will expire and your account may be canceled for non-use. Once you've redeemed your entitlements, that content is not returnable, exchangeable, or refundable for other entitlements for cash or other goods or services. So in this clause, it's talking about content and entitlements, which could be anything from video game achievements to your actual game library that you own. But what we do know is that EA got so much backlash from this that they got rid of this entitlement clause, because you have to think about this realistically. I have an EA account. My Origin account roughly has almost probably $1,000 worth of games on it over the course of the last 5 to 6 years. Imagine if I got super sick, or I joined the military, or I went traveling, or something to where I was not able to use my Origin account or play my games for the next 2 years. What this entitlement clause is basically saying is that they reserve the right to completely turn off and disable your account completely, utterly, so you would lose all of your games in your library. You don't use our service in 2 years? Well, goodbye to you. Now, obviously, this was changed really quickly because this created a lot of controversy, because this is not a normal standard thing. Battle.net doesn't do this. Steam doesn't do this. You buy a game, you have it for eternity, whether you log on a year from now or 7 years from now. That's just how it works. It's how it always should work. Your digital games should never be put on a time limit for how often you join the account, thus you're going to be suspended or deleted. That's a horrible idea. On that same note, there was a bunch of controversy surrounding the EA forums. Yes, I know, believe it or not, forums still exist in this day and age. But what was discovered is that if you are banned from the EA forums, thus your entire Origin account would thus be banned, thus losing all access to, again, your game collection. Why forum posts, which is a completely separate site, combined with your EA library, why those should be completely two separate things. There was an article by Rock Paper Shotgun, in which they reached out to EA, and support staff actually took those banned accounts from the forums and now said that they have quote-unquote games in offline mode, but that originally that wasn't the case. And that fundamentally is the problem, being banned for something on a web forum and then losing all access to your main account with hundreds of dollars worth of games. That doesn't make a lot of sense, but they updated it due to backlash. That's something you're going to see a lot in this video, is that EA kind of gets a lot of backlash something, and then they change it, and then sometimes they go back on that again, and then it's almost like this continuous cycle. At some point, hopefully with Star Wars Squadrons, I think they're actually learning, because that new game apparently has no microtransactions, which I'm actually shockingly surprised. Now, it's important that I mention before we continue is that EA was actually rated for 2 years in a row the worst company in America. Yes, that's right, the worst company in America. In fact, EA made the Guinness Book of World Records, as again, being in that book's kind of a big deal. And as this video is going to showcase more and more and more, you're going to kind of get that idea of why EA is probably one of the most hated companies in the world. Do you guys remember online passes? Basically when you would get a hard copy of a video game from Game Crazy that was attached to Hollywood Video. Yes, that's how old I am. Or GameStop, there would be a piece of paper with this online pass with a code. There was some controversy about these online passes because they were designed to discourage people from giving or trading their actual physical copies of games. Thus, if you were to sell one of your games to a friend or give it to them, the online modes of those games wouldn't even be playable without the use of this quote-unquote online code. There was an article released December 3rd, 2011 that goes into more detail on this, but essentially the original person who bought the game, brand new, giving that game, trading that game, any other people will not have the same access to the game features as the original purchaser. This is a horrible idea. Like, why would you do this? I mean, I remember being that kid with a hard copy of Halo 2 and I would let my friend borrow it. I can't imagine letting your friend borrow a game or taking your game to GameStop only to find out that the person who buys your game isn't going to actually be able to play it properly because it's linked to your account, and in some cases the online passes that were in the actual physical copies of the games would actually expire too. So not only would they deem your copy, you couldn't play online features, sometimes the code would be completely expired. So there was a lot of backlash, and what did EA do? They got rid of it, as they should. Now this really kind of just makes me sad deep down to my core, because when Disney bought the rights to Star Wars, Disney also gave over EA control over the company known as LucasArts. Remember this logo? I loved the company LucasArts. It was specifically a game company that was involved with many Star Wars titles and games outside of the Star Wars universe, and they were really funny, incredible games. I could sit here and talk about all the games that LucasArts made in the 90s, but that's just gonna make me want to cry from absolute sadness. So why am I bringing up LucasArts? Well, because Disney acquired Star Wars, thus they acquired LucasArts, and thus they gave it over to EA. And EA has a reputation for taking over game companies and then scrapping them completely, just completely annihilating them from existence, and in many cases completely screwing the game devs who work for that game company, who's been part of that game company, shutting it down and allowing them to fade into existence. Westwood Studios, Bulldog Entertainment, Pandemic Studios. Here's just a list of a bunch of studios that where some of them were in financial trouble, but EA just completely bought up. And in many cases, a lot of these companies don't even really exist anymore because EA just completely scrapped them. Some of these small game companies have made incredible, amazing games. And sure, they go through some financial trouble, but then EA comes around, scoops them up, gets rid of everybody on the staff. It's a really... we gamers, you're a gamer, I'm a gamer, We don't like corporations doing this. It's one thing to have a giant corporation buy out a studio, but just because you have the money, just because you have the resources to buy somebody out, doesn't mean that you're going to make a good game from that company that you've invested into, as EA has clearly shown with their reputation. I personally feel that EA is kind of like this gigantic corporation that puts everybody below their thumb with pressure. They decide what's good and what's bad, regardless of backlash. I don't like a big corporation coming in and then destroying these studios that have made some of the greatest, most memorable games in my lifetime. Now, of course, we can't talk about EA without the mention of Star Wars Battlefront 2, which is also the most notorious controversy that EA has been in, which did in fact earn EA the most disliked comment in Reddit history. It was the most downvoted comment that's ever been on Reddit, and that is quite an achievement to accomplish. The original thread had over 164,000 upvotes, titled, "Seriously, I paid $80 to have Vader unlocked." And EA community team responded with, "The intent is to provide players with a sense of pride and accomplishment for unlocking different heroes. As for our costs, we selected initial values based upon data from the open beta and adjustments made for the milestone rewards before launch. Among other things, we are looking at average player per credit earn rates on a daily basis, and we'll be making constant adjustments to ensure that players have challenges that are compelling, rewarding, and of course, attainable via gameplay. We appreciate the candid feedback and the passion of the community has put forth, and the current topics here on Reddit are forums across numerous social media outlets." Well, you see, you're chipping $60 to $80 for a full-fledged multiplayer game, and after you spend $60 to $80 for this game, in the multiplayer you have this thing called star cards. This is what they look like. Essentially what they are is that the star cards with you play the game, you earn experience, you unlock these star cards, and these star cards give you advantages in the actual game. The star cards can be levels 1 through 4. The 4th level is always the highest and gives you like extra damage or faster speed, faster health regen, faster ability cooldowns, etc., etc. The problem with the launch of Star Wars Battlefront 2 is that it had a complete, utterly pay-to-win mechanic. At the end of the day, you and I can argue about whether or not microtransactions should be in games. Quite frankly, when it comes to microtransactions, if it's just a skin on a character, I really don't care if that's offered in a game. But when I do care about microtransactions is when it gives you, the player, an in-game advantage, which is exactly what Star Wars Battlefront did on launch. And boy, this was one of the biggest controversies of EA in the last few years. So you spend $60 to $80 for this game, but if you spend real-world money, you get these crystals, and these crystals can be used to unlock star cards that you can normally earn through grinding the game, but, you know, why earn or anything in the game? Why not just spend an extra $30, $40, get these crystals, unlock Darth Vader instantly? But here's the thing. It's one thing to pay to unlock Darth Vader, because that takes a lot of time and grinding to unlock him through non-payment. But the fact that you can pay to unlock him, then you get a massive influx of high-tier star cards. And you have to understand, these star cards go on your characters with Darth Vader and other troops in the game, and they give you a massive influx of an advantage over other players. I'm talking, the advantage is so big that you flying the Millennium Falcon on a map pretty much makes you indestructible, because your cooldowns, your missiles, everything is just maxed out with these cooldowns that make your ship crazy high tier, and everyone else is just flying X-Wings and TIE Fighters, and they're being blasted out of the sky because you have a fully equipped star-carded ship that nobody can do anything from, because they don't have the advantages that you do, because they're grinding through the game like a normal gamer does. It was a pay-to-win mechanic, and this is a no-go in the gaming world, gaming culture. You don't do this. You don't offer microtransactions, which gives you, a player, a massive advantage over other people. You just don't do that. And what's even worse is that EA promised that this was not going to be a thing before the launch. And guess what? It was. EA, I urge you, please fire the people behind making these choices for your game. EA did eventually get rid of it, as they should. Star Wars Battlefront 2 is a lot more fleshed out. It's actually pretty solid now after almost 2 years. It's finally actually not that bad. It's actually pretty solid now. But still, like, development process-wise, like, man, 2 years just to get the game finally operating the way that it should is quite a long time, especially when you're paying for a full triple title $60 to $80 for a game, and it takes that long to be officially completed with everything. It's just like, whew, man. Now, believe it or not, there's actually one more final big controversy that has been making the news as of the last week. Now, you may or may not have heard about this, but it's pretty relevant. There's a channel called T101 with 156,000 subscribers, and he makes a video titled, "I have been banned by Electronic Arts / Capital Games, associates with cheaters and bans YouTubers." His channel specifically is the #1 mobile gaming channel for a mobile game by the name of Star Wars Galaxies of Heroes. Now, personally, I have played this game myself. I soon realized is that in order to really progress in this game, I have to chip in a lot of real-world money in order to progress. The grind is just so abysmally slow that it's really not worth even trying the game because of the fact that you really have to put real-world money into it. Now, this guy had his account banned. Why, you ask? Well, let him explain.
This is by far the most serious video I've ever made because Capital Games, in my opinion, and as I will show you today, has made a direct attack on my channel. Capital Games has outright banned me, not for cheating, which I will show you. They let cheaters get away. We have messages showing they bargain with cheaters and allow them to come back into the game. And EA should be ashamed of themselves for turning a blind eye to Capital Games for years and the amount of abuse they've given to not only our community, but the amount of abuse they've given to content creators, which is unheard of. No other studio that I've interacted with or talked to has seen this type of behavior. They let cheaters get away, but me, someone who's making videos, and yes, I do criticize the game at times, but that should not be an excuse that like, oh, finally, we got him. Let's get him. Let's just get into it. They banned one of my accounts, ladies and gentlemen. The good news is, before we talk more about this, we will be able to still make videos. I've been account sharing with another person, which isn't really unheard of. Many of your favorite content creators, which I won't point them out because Capital Games will probably start sniffing all the other content creators out for just account sharing and maybe even the many bots. There are so many bots people using Galaxy Spheres that do the same thing, basically account share, give account information to access data, let you play around with mods and whatnot. I'm not going to go out pointing fingers. Even some of your favorite content creators, not only just account share, some of their main accounts are accounts they gotten from someone else many, many years ago and don't use their original main account. But I have been directly targeted, and I'm going to explain everything, how we got to this stage right here. What happened, ladies and gentlemen? And it's been obvious. I've shown it on many streams. You've seen multiple accounts. Obviously, I don't wail on cracking levels for 3 different accounts at times. At one point, we had actual test accounts provided by EA. Those were taken away recently, shortly after the Galactic Legends fiasco and the criticism that we provided. Criticism, not hate mail, not death threats, criticism, which is the foundation of making games better. It's at this point kind of obvious. They took away test accounts because they don't want us making videos on their games. And it's most likely Capital Games has seen this up until now. They've seen this for the past several months. We've used it for Galactic Legends streaming. We've used it to test out Mando, Kara, Grief Karga, for example. What better way to keep an account living strong than by giving it to a content creator who gets the most views on all these new products that come to the game and wants to showcase it? We try to keep the account alive. And one, it didn't let that one person's investment go to waste. And secondly, it will benefit the community at large. When we make videos on the new events, new characters, whatever, what have you, they get hundreds of thousands of views. Capital Games took away our test accounts shortly after the feedback they gotten for the Galactic Legends events. But what led us to the point of this account getting banned was about 2 weeks ago, I ran into a bug you would think Capital Games would be eager to resolve. Crystals disappeared from my store visually. And here's the funny part. We don't talk. Capital Games and myself and others, they don't talk to us anymore. I'm not going to say everyone there. I know there's plenty of people at Capital Games that generally love us. They love what we do. It's the senior leadership, if I had to guess, that is behaving this way. Individuals that were able to respond to me. One, EA support, which was next to useless, but after about 5 different people, I finally got a response saying that it was a bug that I was encountering. And I also got in touch with EA High Command on Reddit, which I'll give them at least some credit. They're most likely just getting a fingers to point and shoot. This probably was not their personal decision, if I had to guess. They were at least kind enough to respond to me. And after about a week of them investigating, they're just outright banning my account.
And that he even says himself that this ban was right after he reported a kind of groundbreaking bug in the game itself. But for the real reason as to why he was banned, was it for the account sharing, or was it because he was reporting a bug and complaining about the game, which he has done a lot He's also their main promoter of the game, but he also criticizes the game. But after that reporting a bug, oh, now he's banned. So who really knows? Maybe it was the account sharing, maybe it was this, but that's not the point. He brings up a really solid argument here, and this has been notorious for EA. I don't know if you've ever played Battlefield, but Battlefield 5, I personally like that game a lot. I've always been a big fan of the Battlefield franchise. This YouTuber brings up the fact that EA does, in fact, deal and negotiate with cheaters. And what I mean by this is that if you've ever played Battlefield 5, even if you've played Battlefront 2, if you've played Apex Legends, you will know that these games are riddled with people who hack. I'm talking, especially Battlefield 5, it's almost in every other server I play at this point. You have one player with 200, 300 kills who is aimbotting across the entire map, and there's really nothing that you or I can do about it, and they never get banned. The whole point of me bringing this up is the level of inconsistency that EA has implementing these types of decisions, where they'll ban their top mobile creator promoting a game that promotes a product for free. It's free publicity. He's not being paid to do it. But, oh, he account shares, let's ban him permanently. Or he reported our game for some criticism, let's ban him permanently. While we allow hundreds of other players to hack on our servers, exploit the game in horrible ways, and have in-game advantages, while we sit around, twiddle our fingers, and do nothing about it. Another video came out on June 8, 2020 by Mobile Gamer, which I highly recommend you watch. These videos are linked down below, and it goes into the real controversy of what's happening with Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes, which of course EA is behind that, but Capital Games is also part of EA. And honestly, I had no idea that there was so much mobile controversy about this game recently, and how it treats its player base. Let me just say something really crucial for EA, for Capital Games, for any game company where you have a really solid fan base. The way that you treat the people who consume your product is crucial for your reputation and development as a game company. If you discard criticism, if you discard and just throw everybody aside that criticizes your game because they want the game to be better and improved, then you are a crappy game dev. You don't deserve to be a game developer making a game that people want if you treat people so poorly. It's really not a big concept to grasp that treating your consumers, the people who buy your product and use your product and promote your product, is really important. Don't ban them because they criticize a problem that your game has. How you deal with your consumers sets a reputation for us, the consumers, of not wanting to even approach the game devs and make the game better in fear that the game devs will retaliate against us. And that's not healthy. That's not a good thing to have. If there's a groundbreaking bug, I need to be able to talk to a game dev and say, hey, this is a problem. Let's fix it. We're a community. Let's make this game amazing. But sadly, in the world of EA, that doesn't really exist very often. EA's had a reputation of just flat out banning people, suspending people, banning accounts for ridiculous reasons, creating pay-to-win features for their games, scrapping successful game studios just because they can to make internal changes which screw everybody over. Yet EA is a multi-billion-dollar company. They can throw millions of dollars towards a game like Anthem, and yet the game comes out really not so good. EA's under this impression, you have lots of money, you can throw it towards anything, and that automatically makes something good. And I'm sorry to burst EA's bubble, but having billions of dollars, millions of dollars, throwing it towards a game doesn't make the game good. Doesn't make the game a quality game. It doesn't give the game a 10 out of 10 gaming score just because you have money to throw. What matters is the people behind working on that game and their passion and love for game development and making something that consumers love, appreciate, and want to continue supporting in the future. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching this video. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Also, make sure you hit that bell down below. Make sure to follow me on Twitter for any live updates. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I will catch you guys next time on James Soroka Part 2.